to Onds garden. My name's Onds, and this is the indoor garden. Out there is the outdoor garden, and today we're going out there because it's a nice sunny morning. Do some tidying up, get some of the odd jobs done, and basically make the garden ready for growing lots of things again. I'm going to take you back in time, just back to January, so you can see how actually cold it was. I think it went down to -9. Not sure if that's right, but I think it did. I haven't actually got a temperature gauge here. All I've got is my gauge in my car, so I can't tell you precisely. But it was pretty cold, and a lot of my plants, of course, are wrapped up for the winter. But now the ground's warming up and things are starting to shoot out. It's time to start unwrapping and let them do the thing. If there is a little bit of frost, it might set them back a bit, but we want them to get out there and start absorbing that sunlight and all that beautiful fresh air that's coming out. So, without further ado, I think we actually get back into the garden. But like I say, first, let's have a look and see how cold it was. March. What a gorgeous day this is. The plants are starting to recover, the leaves are a bit more perky, and the sun's shining on a rare occasion this early in the year. So we've got some jobs to do today. One of the jobs I've already done. I've removed the bamboo on the right, which was right next to the house. That was a philostachys, and it was a bit of a spreading bamboo. And I was getting a bit nervous about it, so I decided to remove it and take it out of the way. I've been in there for a few years, so it was time to move it on, but it has left a big gap there, so we need to fill that gap with something. So the first job, removing the bamboo, already done. Most of my plants, of course, are still asleep in the ground. I've managed to sneak out to the garden centre and buy a sneaky plant. This beautiful hellebore, Don't know what type it is because I forgot to look at the label, which is typical. What it does do though is lead me into the next job, which is to unwrap all of the plants in the garden that are wrapped up. I say all of them, but I did actually leave a couple of the little ones in, just in case we get that extra touch of frost. Now this is a Calopanex septemlobus, and as you can see it's poking out the sheet that keeps it warm over winter. So it's ready to come out, get some of that sunlight, all the old dead leaves dropping off there. I've actually got my shorts on, so it must have been warm. Now we're moving on to a beautiful plant called the Schefflera taiwaniana. Now this plant is actually hardy in the UK down to about -10, so technically it doesn't really need wrapping, but I like to wrap mine because I want to keep the leaves basically. I don't want any damage to occur from the frost, make it look as beautiful as possible. Now I did buy another little taiwaniana last year, and that's in the ground, and it's only really tiny, so that one's going to stay wrapped up for a bit longer. But this one, it's time to let it go, let these leaves bounce back. Onto the Fatsia. Now this is another plant that doesn't necessarily need wrapping, but last year when this was a little bit smaller it was struggling. I've got a couple of these dotted about the garden, and this Fatsia polycarpa didn't seem to do very well in the frost last year, so this year I thought, right, I'll give it a head start, let's wrap it up and see how it gets on. And I can see straight away that okay, it's doing very well, you know, the leaves are all healthy, all green. Musa Baju behind it is also looking good, so we wrapped that up, the banana plant, and now you can see it's starting to grow. Tetrapanex unwrapped. Looks dead, but it's not, and then these plants will grow pretty well. Unwrap. We just take the leaves off the top. There's no fancy wrapping on this one. Now, it may not look it, but that is actually quite a big plant, and it's getting bigger. Don't know what type it is. There's lots of controversy over conifers and what type they are and how big they get, and I don't think you're allowed to buy them these days or sell them. So I don't know. I can't see them causing a problem myself. As far as I can see, you just chop them into bits if they're too big. They're really soft inside, so that won't cause a problem. Okay, it's the next day in Onds garden, and the weather's changed a lot. So yesterday it was all nice and sunny. Today it's really rainy and miserable, to be honest, but we're not going to let that bother us. We're going to carry on because we've got stuff to do. Gone on the shorts and back into the trousers, so we're ready to go. Now, I'm going to be taking a look in a minute, planting some of this stuff. This is ginger. It's an ornamental ginger, and this one's called Gardnerianum, something like that. Where they come up with these names, I don't know, but it should grow to about 2.5 metres. This one's a light coloured flower on it, if it flowers. Most of my gingers out there so far haven't flowered, but we're going to give them time. But I wanted to get some more in the garden just to make a lot more of a statement with the ginger plants, because there's lots of spaces to fill, and these can fill it quite nicely. So that was one of them, the Gardnerianum. And this one's the Ornamental. Yeah, that's what I thought. This one's only about 1.5 to 2 metres, but it has got like a red tropically type flower when it does flower. So we want to get those in now, so it's got plenty of time to grow. And I've been soaking them for the last few hours in this bottled water. And this is the big one. It goes to 2.5 metres. And then these ones, as you can tell, they're a lot smaller. But yeah, I'm soaking them so that they actually get a bit of a softer skin and they rehydrate themselves a bit before I put them in the ground. So I've got some compost out of there. So let's get on and get out there and get them planted. So before we can get to the back of the border, I need to get rid of this grass that's in the way. I'm just going to try and pull this out. Big old lump of grass. Just preparing the soil, getting a bit of compost down, digging a bit of compost in, just to give it the best start. Now it has been soaking, so it's got the softer skin, so hopefully that should help. So I've chose this spot right next to the fence, and this should shelter it from big gusts of wind. They like to be in a sheltered spot, but it's also quite bright on this part of the garden. Hopefully, if I give it a bit of sunshine, not too much, give it lots of water during the growing season, and also lots of food, maybe come the end of the year I might get some beautiful flowers. That's what I'm hoping for. Wish me luck. So just to avoid me digging this up in the future thinking it's a weed, I stick a bit of bamboo in there, give it a little water, and hopefully it should grow. So I've got a few more, just going to spread them around the garden in random places at the minute. Once they get established I can always move them, put them in a nice clump somewhere. But basically I just want to spread them out and see where they do best. Okay, so this canna is the Canna Annii, and I've had it a few years now, and I just leave it in the soil, and it does fine. As you can see, I'm cutting up the roots, but I'm being a bit crude with it. It's a rather large clump, and it's never had any problems before, so I'm splitting this into multiple cannas. I'm going to plant them across the garden. As long as you don't chop them down too small, you should be okay. So next job, I've got these to put in where the canna actually came from. Now I don't know whether you can see this. Do you know what that is? Probably not. I've got two of these type. There we go. one and that one, which are looking quite healthy. In fact, they're growing in this pot a lot, and they need putting in the garden so they can just spread as much as they want. But these are actually Zantedeschia, however you want to pronounce it. And this is the green goddess. So this should be quite a lowish, I think, plant that will actually produce like green leaves with white tips that look like flowers. But basically I can feel it bulging out the pot there. That's ready to be planted right now. So I'm going to get that in the garden where the previous Canna was, Canna annii. And I've also got this one, which is another Zantedeschia, but this is a Hercules. So this should have long big leaves that look very lush again. So we want to get some of these in the garden, so we're going to plant those around. And these can come to the front of the border where they'll be seen pretty well. So I'm quite happy about that. Looking forward to getting these in the ground, so let's go and do it. Now Zantedeschia, they come from southern Africa, and this one you can see is bursting out its pot, but I'm going to plant it in a sunny spot. That's where you should plant them. But I'm going to have to keep an eye on it because it's going to need a lot of water, I think, just through the summer months so it doesn't dry out, because they like a lot of water. Just cover them with a mulch over the winter months just to keep them warm. Okay, so on to the final push. Time for the bamboo trimming. Now this is the bamboo that looked rather dead, and I wasn't sure whether it was okay. But I can see when I get closer there's little signs of green shoots on the leaves, so I know it's going to be fine. But what I do want to do is give it a good chance to breathe in the air, so I'm going to chop out a load of these old bits, remove all the thin stems, and I'm just pulling off the lower branches at the bottom of this just to make it look nice. This bamboo is actually a Q Beauty. I've got another one of these that didn't have the same problem, so it just depends where it's put. It's obviously a little bit sensitive to the cold weather. Hopefully this will recover, because it's an absolute gorgeous bamboo when it's actually growing. So while I'm just tidying up the mess that's all around here, if you made it this far to the end of the video, well done. And if you'd like more people to see these sort of videos, then just tap the subscribe button. You don't have to. It's totally your choice. So all that's left to say is thanks for watching, and I hope you can join me in the next one.